everyone, so today we're going to be talking about narrative in art, and basically it's a super important part of art, but we're just going to skim the surface today. Anywho, so what we're going to do today is introduce what narrative is, then I'm going to have some examples up on the screen that are super strong examples of narrative, and then I'll introduce today's assignment and kind of guide you guys through about how you're going to do that. Oh, oops. Anyway, so narrative is the art technique or process of narrating or telling a story, or it's the story that connects and explains a carefully selected set of supposedly true events, experiences, or the like intend to support a particular viewpoint. And that definition was from dictionary.com, and there's a lot of different definitions of narrative, but these ones were more closely related to what we're going to be using narrative for in art today. So here's some 3 examples of different artworks that have a strong narrative. So you can see they're very different in subject matter and style and approach. So the first one is a scene, and scenes are easily associated with narrative. It's like a snapshot of a story, basically. Like, it's one of the most obvious ways. And we can see in this first one that sort of game is going on, a gathering. But as we go to the second one, it's like a small instance of an illustrative scene of these hands reaching and touching one another. But then we go to the last one, and it's more abstractified. It has a portrait of this man, but there's a bunch of fragmented things around him. And all 3 of these are super strong examples of narrative because they engage the viewer. So I think that these are interesting, but I hope that you also think these are interesting to look at. So moving on. This image is from the work Haikyuu by Fururate, and we'll be analyzing it in today's assignment. I don't want you to worry about not knowing anything about the story, because it is from a manga, and I purposely did that because this artwork was obviously created to tell a story, but we're just going to be using it to guess what's happening in that very moment in the story. So with that, we'll be looking for the basic facts when we pick apart that image. We'll then be making some small connections, turning into bigger connections, and then eventually formulating a hypothesis of what we think the work is about, or what story it's trying to portray. So this is an example by Ricardo Bessa, and as I have here, I first started with determining the basic facts. So I noticed that there was a sunset. There was 2 figures or people in the image. There's some sheets around, and then laundry, and I just listed it there. Super fast, super easy. But then I started to decide what is probably more important, like what my eye actually really catches. And we're also starting to think ahead, what does this have to do with a story? So I decided that the figures appear to be an older and younger girl. That's probably important. The older girl's looking off into the distance, but the younger girl is looking at the older one. And then from there, I made my hypothesis, and by stating that this work features commentary between a mother-daughter relationship between the 2 figures as they work through life. Now, this is why it's a hypothesis. I actually have no clue if they're really mother or daughter. There's nothing I can really refer back to unless if I were to actually research this image. But for now, this is what is apparent to me as the viewer. And I kind of elaborate on that with my 2 evidences by saying this is indicated by the younger girl looking up to the older figure. To further this point, the older girl is looking off into the distance as she works, possibly symbolizing hopes that the both could achieve something beyond where they are now. So that's a super short example. Your assignment shouldn't take too long. I hope you don't feel like you have to get stuck or anything. It's just practice and just getting guesses out there on the image I showed a couple slides ago. And I want you to remember that besides that, it's not super high stakes or anything. When you're trying to come up or decide what the story is, like think of possible analogies, symbolism, and cultural references that you could see. Anyways, that's all that I have for this video, and I wish you luck on your assignment. I know you guys will do great. Thank you so much.